Fox, makers of the world's finest fishing tackle, are proud to sponsor the Elise Trophy.
Welcome to the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy from here at Donington Park. It's midway through the season and we've seen many different faces on the podium, which means it's really hard to place your bets on who's going to win this weekend. To find out, I had a little chat with some of the drivers. Ever popular, the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy still attracts brand new drivers, and this weekend is no exception. I'm joined now by Rob Anderson. Rob, this is your first race?
Yes, it is, yep.
And there's a bit of a story with your entry this weekend. It's for charity, isn't it?
Yes, there's another guy here racing, two of us doing our first novice race. And cars have been kindly donated by their owners and hoping to return it in the same number of pieces it is now.
Which charity is it you're supporting?
It's Little Havens Children's Hospice, which is it's the club that's running this is their main sponsor, and they do other events through the year.
Matt, you got the Go Faster hat. How's your season?
Oh, it's been good fun, actually. I haven't been terribly competitive. Had a couple of tenths, which has put me first on the grid at once or twice. But no, it's been great. It's good. A good battle mid-pack with various people.
And we've seen quite a few different podium faces as such. We haven't seen a consistent winner this year. What's your prediction for who might win today?
Well, I was going to say Steve Williams, but he's been put to the back for cheating. So I think it's probably going to be Martin Donnelly, but Marcus is going to be somewhere up there as well. He's going to give him a good run for his money.
How's it going for you this year?
Very good. A bit of production, a bit of modified. It's great fun.
And did you get confused today and take your modified car out in the production qualifying? What happened?
We ran the wrong map on the car, and we've been caught slightly overpower, 2 horsepower, but rules are rules, so you know.
So you've been sent from second on the grid to the back.
Yeah, naughty boys chair at the back of the class, so it should be a little bit more interesting though, shouldn't it?
Well, best of luck from the naughty boy corner.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's time now for race 1, and this man here, Rob Anderson in car number 60, is joining us for his very first race of the series. And taking pole position, it's Martin Donnelly, very experienced Lotus driver, who's sure to be first into Redgate, but only time will tell. Here's David Addison.
Martin Donnelly then on pole position, and having qualified quicker than anybody else, he's now copped 60 kilos of extra weight on the car just to try to narrow the margin between him and the opposition. Marcus Jewell is with him at the front of the grid, whilst lower back on the grid you have got racing newcomer Danny Golubovic, who is a Lotus engineer, and he is going to be worth watching up from the back of the grid, as too is Steve Williams in car number 18. Of course, he's a man that had a win at Brands Hatch when the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy supported the World Touring Car Championship. So he, in number 18, is certainly one of the drivers worth keeping an eye to, as the rest of the field then now makes its way around 2.5 miles of the Grand Prix circuit, slots into place on the grid. Martin Donnelly then at the front alongside Marcus Jewell as the lights go out. Everybody accelerates for 20 minutes of racing down towards Redgate Corner. Donnelly with the extra weight doesn't really make a great start. And it's the yellow car of Ken Savage that heads Marcus Jewell into Redgate. Rob Anderson trying to go around the outside there in third place at the moment. Rob in the car that Jamie Stanley took to a race win at Brands Hatch. He's had a lot of guidance as well from Jamie prior to his debut race weekend, as this enormous field pulls its way downhill with Ross Treasure there being elbowed out onto the grass in the Dayglow yellow car. Savage it is then who leads the way, Jewell second, and you're on board now with Rob Anderson. Big slide for Marcus Jewell at the bottom of the crater curves. He's off across the grass heading towards the gravel. He should be able to get himself back onto the road. He does, but he's lost a whole heap of time in the process. Marcus Jewell rejoins now, but up front Ken Savage has benefited from that little moment, and he leads the way with Martin Donnelly second. Heading up now towards Coppice Corner for the first time. Now what progress from Rob Anderson? He's in fourth at the moment. James Knight goes through ahead of Hans Baumhart, and there are battles as ever raging on right the way through the field. Andrew Kell, number 67 in the blue car there, you can see coming through Coppice, trying to work his way up into contention. And this is a replay of Steve Williams' start and it's almost like a video game this, as he weaves his way between drivers on the way down towards turn 1. Williams still could be a dark horse, I reckon, for a race win. If there's a safety car in this to bunch them all up, he'll be thrown a lifeline. Into Redgate, road gets a little bit crowded ahead of him, and then as different drivers try different lines, suddenly there's a gap in the middle, and Williams needs no second invitation. Russ Treasure there gets elbowed out onto the grass on the inside at Hollywood, and Williams charges his way through the Craner curves, as also being forced wide there was 84 Steve Owen. Down to the old hairpin for the first time. The next target for Williams there, 28, Will Price, he picks him off and he gets past Marcus Jewell as well. Out of Goddard's for the first time, race leaders now making their way up towards the completion of lap number 1. Squeal of tyres as 1 or 2 run very, very wide into the corner, and there's one facing the wrong way, 54 that is, Rob Austin. He was in the gravel in qualifying, Rob having his first outing in the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy. Ex-Formula Renault team owner, he's running the mini challenge as Ken Savage leads the way from Martin Donnelly coming downhill. Donnelly working really hard there. You saw the car snaking. He's right on the tail of number 5 Ken Savage, then the race leader. Ken has yet to score a race win this year as the 2 leading cars then now make their way up towards Schwantz Curve. There, back into the race is Rob Austin. Turns his way down towards Redgate. And inspired by Mark Spello, against whom he's raced in other categories, he's turning his attention now to Lotus Racing. The car just a little bit smoky as you're on board now with Rob Anderson. 4th as he turns through Fogarty's and loses out there, because up and past him comes Mick Edwards. Mick's had 3 class wins already this year, and he accelerates then now down towards the right-hander of the Melbourne hairpin. Edwards really charging on now. Savage leads the way. Donnelly is in 2nd place, and their 3rd in number 20 is David Alexander. So 3 for the lead of the race as they climb up towards Goddard's. Donnelly this time is alongside Savage, or is he? Because there, of course, coming uphill is where the extra weight on that car really will tell against him. Alexander goes up the inside, locks up under braking, hits Donnelly and spins. Faces the wrong way. That's really torn any chance of a podium finish for him now. David Alexander back into the race, but of course Donnelly would have lost a chunk of time there. Wasn't his fault. You can see David Alexander just gets it wrong under braking, biffs into the side of Martin Donnelly's car. The real beneficiary of that, I think, is going to be Mick Edwards, because now he's right on the tail of Donnelly. 4th is James Knight, 5th is Rob Anderson as they turn their way through the old hairpin. Hans Baumhart is next. The dust settles, 1 or 2 running wide coming out of the corner. But Ken Savage now has a big advantage over everybody else. Are they going to be able to get back onto terms with him? 20 minutes of racing around here. It's going to be about 10 or 11 laps. So that's James Knight, who's gone way out into the gravel at McLean's corner. He's kept the car going. Is he going to be able to drive through the gravel? No, he's going to park it. James Knight then, after a big moment through the gravel bed, is a retirement. Savage leads the way as he comes down to the Melbourne hairpin. Ex-Lotus Grand Prix driver Martin Donnelly chasing after him. It was here in the first year of the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy, but Martin did have a win in what in those days was the handicap race that used to be the 2nd of the 2 races under the double-header format. Comes now up towards Goddard, still being chased by Edwards. And there's now this danger for Donnelly that he's going to have to work so hard to defend 2nd place, that the race leader is going to get away from him. Over the line they come. Savage heads the pack. Donnelly 2nd, Edwards 3rd, and 4th in only his 2nd ever race is Rob Anderson. He's raising money by doing this race for the Little Havens Children's Hospice. He's paid 4,000 quid for the privilege of racing this car, and he aims to make it money well spent. He had one outing yesterday in Lotus Cup Europe, went pretty well. Ken Savage, though, plunges downhill. He leads the way. The man from Pottersbury, just near Silverstone, heads Martin Donnelly, and these two are nose to tail as Donnelly now tries to line up to have a go on the inside of the old hairpin. Thought about it and then thought better of it. Slots back in behind as they go through the corner. All the while, they've got Mick Edwards, a class winner this year already, right there giving the Grand Prix past master a really hard time, and this is one of the real beauties of the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy. The drivers are no respecters of reputation. Doesn't matter that Donnelly has been racing at a far higher level than everybody else out there. He's still fair game to be taken on and to be beaten, and so far so good for Ken Savage. Donnelly 2nd, 3rd Edwards up towards Coppice. That is 84 Steve Owen back into the race, the man from Downham Market. Edwards attacking Donnelly, Donnelly attacking Savage, and Rob Anderson is drawing a bit nearer to them as well now in 4th place as they come through the Melbourne hairpin. They're back on the power now, sprinting their way up towards Goddard's. And Savage here trying to defend from Donnelly, who is defending from Edwards as they come into the corner. Ken Savage heads the way. Little puff of tyre smoke though as he brakes desperately late going into Goddard's, runs wide. Is that going to give Martin Donnelly conceivably now a chance to challenge as they come up past the pits? Rob Anderson through in 4th place, but the 3 leaders as one go now down towards Redgate. Ken Savage checks his mirror to see where Donnelly is, and Martin's still busy defending. Mick Edwards is right there behind him as Martin now heads through the right-hander of Redgate onto the top of the Craner curves. Tess Howell heads into the pit lane, and that rather looks as though it could be retirement for her. Tess Howell then going no further. We've also lost from the race the car of Chris Pearson that was parked just up ahead of her, having pulled off on the run towards Redgate. Now this is Martin Donnelly's view, and that's Mick Edwards going past him on the way down towards Fogarty's. A change for second place, but look, it's almost 4 for the lead now. Savage, Edwards, Donnelly and Anderson is the leading quartet. Martin Donnelly sprinting his way then now to Fogarty's, trying to get second position back, but as long as they're squabbling like this, it's giving not only Savage the chance to pull away, it is giving Rob Anderson in his second ever race a chance to close up. Down through the Melbourne hairpin they come. Ken Savage once more heads the pack. It was ever thus really in this race so far, but now it's a different driver in second place. And can Mick Edwards do anything about Savage? I reckon the answer is yes, because as they come up towards Goddard's, he's shaking off Donnelly and he's just edging a little nearer now to the back of the yellow car of Ken Savage as they come across the line. Savage past the pits, Edwards is second, Donnelly is third, Anderson is fourth, and a small gap back to the next cars coming across the line, which involve, as you can see, 41 going through there, which is Stuart Kirkbride, and number 9, Martin Roberts, as ever, with his open face helmet, also looking to gain ground as he turns now into Redgate corner. Just ahead of him is Gary Broad. Through Hollywood now, plunging downhill once again. Broad under real pressure here from Martin Roberts. Leading the way, though, is Ken Savage, looking for a maiden win in the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy. But Mick Edwards has got other ideas about this, because the top 2 now run as one, heading into Coppice. And Martin Donnelly, after all his many, many years of experience, is being given a hard time by a man in his second ever race. Donnelly comes out of Coppice, and right there behind him now is Rob Anderson. Anderson's view, Donnelly ahead, down towards Fogarty's. This is the fight for third place. Rob Anderson goes to the outside line, but Martin Donnelly is just going to be able to defend as they turn their way through the corners. The Lotus On Track Elise Trophy here at Donington continues right after the break.
Fox, makers of the world's finest fishing tackle, are proud to sponsor the Elise Trophy.